What's happening? Welcome to Wong Notes podcast. I'm your host, Cory Wong. I'm excited today. I'm in the middle of a tour right now. I'm about halfway through my tour. The band is feeling good. Shows are feeling great. Tons of people have come. Oh man, it's been so much fun. And it's a guitar tour. I got Mark Tremonti out with me. We've been getting that double guitarmony action, double shreds going. It's fun. I'm also excited because today on the show we have Mark Tremonti. Mark is a great dude. This is my first time ever chatting with Mark. What a nice guy, smart guy. Honestly, it didn't even click to me until after doing this interview what an incredible songwriter this cat is. I went back after doing the interview and listened through so many different things that he was principal songwriter of. This guy has got chords. This guy's got melodies. Are you kidding me? Tremonti can write a song. I'm telling you that right now. Incredible guitar player. You know him from Creed, Alter Bridge, and many other things. As a matter of fact, I think at one point, was it Guitarist magazine? One of these magazines rated the Blackbird guitar solo, not the Beatles' Blackbird, the Alter Bridge song, greatest guitar solo of all time. Okay? If you can get anybody to say that about you, you're dope. Okay? Mark Tremonti is an incredible guitar player. Insane. And also has a great ear for gear, which we get into in the podcast. I'm so excited to have him on the show. Thank you for hanging out with us today. If this is your first time with us, welcome. Nice to meet you. I've got a lot of interviews with a lot of legends. It has been so much fun to do over the last several years. So if it's your first time here, listen to this interview and then go back and see who some of the other guests are, because we've had some really great ones. Anyway, let's get on with it. Mark Tremonti.
Hey, you guys know about DistroKid yet? If you are an artist, musician, somebody who's trying to get your music on Spotify, Apple Music, all of those things, DistroKid is a digital distributor that can get your music on all of those platforms. It's the easiest, fastest way to do so, with accounts even just starting at $19.99 a year per artist. So for me, I have several albums out. I just pay one amount for the year. For all the Cory Wong albums, I just pay one amount, and DistroKid takes 0% royalty. 100% of the royalties come straight to me. Or you use their Teams feature where you can dedicate a certain percentage to one member of your band, a certain percentage to the other, or one of your collaborators. I do this sort of thing. It works amazing. DistroKid is who I use for my albums, and it has worked great for me. The stuff gets up there fast. They have a smart ISRC thing. I don't have to worry about coming up with my own codes, registering a lot of the stuff. They just have that. And they also have these really cool design tools. If you are not very design savvy, they'll help you come up with assets for social media and other things to help promote your album. And if you want to use them, you can use my VIP code. Just go distrokid.com/VIP/Cory Wong and you get 30% off. How about that? Check them out, DistroKid. All right, let's hit this episode. Mark, thanks so much for being with us today, man. It is great to see you. Fun to finally have you on the podcast.
It's my honor to be here.
Yeah, man, it's great. I see you. Are you in a home studio right now? I see a bunch of pedals, some nice Genelecs. We got a lot of gear there. I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, this is my studio at home.
Question I have is, how do you mic those pinball machines? What you stereo mic those?
You know what? I actually put subs underneath those machines, and I wire into the sub of the bottom speaker, and these things are loud as hell. They're awesome.
I didn't know you're a pinball guy. That's pretty cool.
You know what? I did the soundtrack for a couple of machines. What? I did two of them that are in here. I did the Godfather machine with Jersey Jack Pinball, and I did Venom for Stern.
That is so dope.
So it's that's one of my dreams. I want to infiltrate the pinball world.
Dude, I think if there's any cat to do it, I think you're the guy.
Well, thank you. You got to get in there yourself.
All right. I'll see what I can do. Well, you seem to have something figured out because you have helped found and be a member of two multi-platinum selling bands. And I was going through the discography and I've just been listening through a bunch of the stuff that you do. And I realized you have not just something figured out on that side, but guitar-wise, there's a few angles to your playing where you have some stuff figured out and some things that feels so iconic. I'm just wondering how you found yourself there, and I'm curious on your approach. There's three things that I think make you an X factor on the guitar. One of them is you just know how to make great rock riffs. Okay, that one is like, okay, yeah, like rock riffs, guys, sure, cool, like you can do that. But you have a very unique thing where you're also able to really create unique and interesting parts with clean guitar tones that don't feel so guitaristic, but they just lay out so great on the guitar. Stuff that it's not just like, oh, I'm playing chords. It's really playing sort of arpeggiated things or utilizing aspects of the guitar, but making it seem like it's there's so much more motion. It's almost more like a classical piano player playing through a thing rather than just somebody chording through, right? So that's number two that I feel like you have as your X factor. And then number three is you've got some incredible, most insane guitar solos out there also. So these three things, the riffs, the clean guitar approach, and the solos make you just such a deep threat in the guitar world. Can you talk to me about how you approach each of those realms when you play?
Yeah, I think something that's kept me alive through all the years of not falling into a rut of not being able to be creative is alternate tunings. Alternate tunings to me are crucial. I was never really a great player that could sit in with a jazz band or if some band was going to say, hey, we're going to play a 2-4-1, whatever it is, that's not me. I always like to throw out the rules, tune the guitar crazy, and see what I can come up with.
Sure.
And I think because of that, some of the chord voicings might sound a little different than most people's, and the guitar solos. I love writing a guitar solo where I have no idea what's going on. I want to find some cool open strings that normally wouldn't be there, or just kind of invent something that's where there are no rules. I'm not following certain scales. I'm just kind of using my ear and my heart, and
sure.
That's kind of what I've done. With the alternate tunings, it's kind of helped me just kind of be more creative.
Yeah. That's cool. What about the riffs? Because there's so many versions of rock bands where, obviously you can just sit down and play a riff, but for whatever reason, some stick around and some don't. Like, what is it that makes a good riff?
Gosh, I like, when I was a kid, I loved metal. I still love metal, but I love speed metal. I love just throwing on a drum loop of some sort and just hammering it out until something sticks.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily what makes a great riff from an average riff, but I love something that feels good under your fingers, that's fun to play. That's, to me, is a good riff. Something that if I can have a vocal melody that fits something that's interesting on the guitar and is fun to play at the same time, that's a win-win for me.
When you're working on writing, are you starting from that sort of place? Are you starting from riffs? Are you starting from discovering something alternate tuning wise and then just building a song around it? Or are you starting with melody and then just building chord progressions around and then finding something interesting to do with the chords? What's your process?
Yeah, I come at it a few different ways. Sometimes a melody will be what starts it all. I think melody is the most important part of everything. Sure. I remember being, 10, 15 years into my career and being annoyed when somebody's like, yeah, you're just a guitar player, that the singer writes all the vocal melodies. I'm like, listen, that's my thing. I write vocal melodies. To me, I spend more time writing vocal melodies than I do trying to play lead guitar by far. When I pick up guitar, 80% of what I do is songwriting, and 20% is I'm in the dressing room, might as well noodle on the guitar and learn some new things.
Yeah.
So vocal melody is the most important thing. When I write songs, a lot of times I'm not warmed up. I'm just grabbing a guitar off the wall and I'm just fumbling around with it, seeing what happens. And I've got a way of logging my ideas where I have I kind of have a sense, an intuition. Is this a verse? Is it a chorus? Is it a bridge? And I will log them with their beats per minute, what tuning it's in, what vibe it is, and I'll put it in my laptop. So if I ever have a song where I'm like, all right, I'm almost there, but I don't have a bridge, I can go back through my files and be like, okay, 132 beats per minute and drop D tuning. Maybe it's in 6/8. Here we go. So I log all my ideas from all the years and just try to make sense of it.
That's cool. I like that. I heard Rivers Cuomo from Weezer has a similar, like a Google Doc or like a spreadsheet of lyrics and ideas that he'll just randomly reference for things. But I've liked that idea of, it is amazing in the modern era how easy it is to just catalog ideas.
Oh yeah,
that you can just pull back.
I'd be lost without it. I mean, it's I have. If the world ended and I couldn't play the guitar another day, I'd be able to go back and put together a ton more records just from what I've written over the last 30 years, you know? So I never get rid of anything unless if I go through and I'm logging new ideas and something doesn't move me in any way, I'll erase it. But other than that, I keep it.
Sure. I dig that. So what does it take for you at this point to feel like you're truly inspired by something that you're writing? Like, you've written on tons of records. You've played on tons of records, written tons of songs. What is it nowadays where you're like, yes, this, I haven't said this yet?
Yeah. It's different every day. You know, I like something either really triumphant and positive or really dark and sad and horrible. Yeah. I don't like anything in the middle. I like the most or the least. Yeah. You know, I don't like anything in the middle. But nowadays, I'm getting into more of setting a moody vibe. You know, I want somebody almost like a translate state to fall into a song. And I like stoner metal a lot. You know, I like I get inspired if I hear a stoner band playing something, just a nice, slow, groovy, almost like Sabbath-y kind of thing. I fall right into it. And I like synthwave stuff. You know, if I hear a synthwave jam and it's got a cool progression to it, I'll get inspired to do something around that. I'm hearing stuff all the time. My wife will play. There's something on satellite radio. It's like Chill Vibe or something like that, and it's all this programmed music. And so much of it is so good. I'll be like, what the hell is this? And I'll Shazam it. And I'll just listen to these artists, and they'll inspire me to come up with their unique and clever chord progression, what the changes they would make. Some of them are just great. So I'll try to see what I could do with that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say the very dark and the very positive, because that's pretty obvious to me now that you say it. Like, I'm trying to think back. What's interesting about the album Human Clay is that two of the biggest songs on there, Higher and With Arms Wide Open, are very positive songs, and these huge hit songs, but they're like buried deep in the album. And the first half of the record is pretty dark.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of these minor riffs and a lot of half-step motion that kind of, the average listener, the person that doesn't just listen to pop radio, they'd be like, whoa, this is dark. But people who are into rock, it's just like, oh no, like that's this thing. And it's interesting to me that you see such a wide spread of emotional expression on most of those records that you've been a part of, and the songs that you've written. And also the fact that these two gigantic hit songs are buried on the second half of the album. So, talk to me about that, because nowadays, I mean, if I'm trying to make a record, it's like, I need to capture people's attention in the first 10 seconds of when they throw this on Spotify or whatever. You know, it's a little bit of a different game. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Those two gigantic songs as songs like number 8 or 9 or whatever in the album.
Well, I think whenever we had a ballad on a record, we'd always put it 3/4 into the record, kind of a thing. You know, It's typically I think that's what we do. I can't remember what the first song on that record is. I think, Are You Ready? Yeah. Are You Ready? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are You Ready? You can't have another song open up the record. It's Are You Ready? It was the obvious choice. Yeah. You know. I think once you start there, all right, here's our first song, Are You Ready? It's got an up-tempo thing. It's kind of a up-tempo rock song. We got to make something a little moodier next. We just kind of go song by song, and I'm still that way. It's very important, I think, the order of a record.
Yeah.
And, because back then we knew that even though this Higher might have been number 7 on the record or 8 on the record, we knew it was going to be our first single, so it didn't matter. It was still going to be the first thing people heard.
Sure.
But yeah, album order is critical, and everybody always have their opinions on it. That was always a stressful time. No way, that should be first. That should be third. That should be.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I was an MTV kid. I was watching MTV as my babysitter when I'd get home from school. And I had my own interpretation of what the music scene and the industry was like at the time. And, I was an alternative rock, grunge kid, punk rock kid, whatever version of that was at the time. I'm curious from your standpoint, because it felt like My Own Prison and Human Clay were kind of transitional records. Like the first record felt like it just could have fit right in to me, went from my vantage point at the time, it could have fit right in with the alt rock and the grunge thing. Although some people would say, at that time, of course, the tide was kind of shifting from what people would consider like the nucleus of grunge or whatever. So it was a little bit of a shifting time, of course. And then Human Clay being more of it was more of a produced sound. And I don't mean that in a bad way. In the same way where I would say Evil Empire is more produced than the Rage Against the Machine self-titled record. It's not, it's not a good, it's just like, oh yeah, it's more, I don't know. It just sounds more pro to the average person.
Yeah.
I'm curious, at the time, when you guys were making those first couple records, were you aware of how you fit into alt rock or grunge, or did you care, or were you trying to do something different? Where was your mindset artistically at the time?
We wrote how we wrote. There was no way of changing it. But I remember trying to get on alternative radio because alternative radio was huge compared to active rock radio. The reach was much bigger. So we'd have a few songs like, all right, we're going to get to number 30 on the charts at alternative, but we can get top 10 or top, number 1 on active rock. So we constantly wanted to get on those charts, but we never specifically sat down and said, let's look what these bands are doing and try to do it so we can be an alternative band. I just don't think that was ever us. We were way more, straight ahead rock band to be super artsy alternative band at the time.
Yeah.
But luckily enough, when we came out with Higher, we broke into the pop charts, which was an even bigger reach.
Yeah.
And I think that opened the door for Arms Wide Open, which is our first number 1 across the board hit. I think that went number 1 at pop. And and I don't know if we were one of the first rock bands, I think, to do that at the time. And that really changed the game for us.
Well, I imagine, obviously, you go through different versions of the band. You go through different versions of where are you aiming on the dartboard? Are you aiming for the bullseye of pop radio? Are you aiming for the triple 20 of alt rock or whatever? There's different places that you aim for. And then, people who might want you to shoot at the 20s see you shooting at the 16s and they're like, what are you doing? Obviously there's a lot of misconceptions or a lot of things that fan bases, expected or didn't expect that happened. What is one of the biggest misconceptions that you see? Where did people get things wrong, or where did they, as far as your fans, what was the biggest misconception that you feel like you saw from your fan base?
I think a lot of the critical stuff on the outside were like, it sounds like a Pearl Jam ripoff band or whatnot. Sure. We heard that a lot. And me on the inside, I'm like, I wrote all the music for the band, and I wrote the songs with Scott Stapp, where me and him would get together and he'd write most of the lyrics and we'd work on melodies together. But me hearing that over and over, I'm like, I had one Pearl Jam record. I was not influenced by Pearl Jam. I was influenced by Metallica and Slayer and this band and that band and punk bands, Black Flag and Minor Threat and all this stuff. So Pearl Jam was something that happened way later into me playing my instrument. So that always kind of irritated me, because I was like, if you take the songs of this band, you take the songs of Pearl Jam, the songs don't sound alike. Maybe, and Scott Stapp, he took it as a compliment when people said that. He thought Eddie Vedder had a great voice, and he said that many times.
Sure.
But that was something that always irritated me. So I'm like, that, I worked my whole life to do this. I don't have any similarities to the music of Pearl Jam.
Yeah. I understand though how the untrained ear might just be like, oh, the vocal quality has a rasp to it and it's rocky. Or it's like,
so it's a ripoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
The amount of airtime we had, you're going to have to take the criticism.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting thing because you see so many people where it feels underground and everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is my band. This is my thing. And they feel like they have ownership of it. And then that gets released to the rest of the world. And then all of a sudden there's less of a relational thing where they feel like it's theirs. And all of a sudden it's also everybody else's. I mean, that's just naturally going to happen when anything gets really popular. I mean, I'm sure the people of Seattle thought that about Starbucks when they went global, you know, or it's like, whatever, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But that you guys have seen a lot of, you know, there's several bands that have been the brunt of a lot of unfair criticism or just internet hive swarm or whatever. You've had to deal with a lot. And as somebody who is a legit great musician, you took a lot of heat and you had to learn how to deal with that. And I'm just curious, what is it that got you through that? Because now, I mean, what's interesting is the last year, the tide has completely shifted.
Yeah.
And it felt like there was a lot of years where it was like, man, these cats are taking heat. And for whatever, I mean, whatever. How did you get through that? And how did you maintain your sense of identity and just your ability to address, hey, I am great. I bring value to the world, even though a lot of people on the internet are pricks. How did you get through that? Because a lot of people are going through that and or will go through that.
Yeah. You know, I just realized that if you want to have that level of success, you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have thick skin. You see it everywhere. Nowadays, I think the most obvious person you could point out would be Taylor Swift. She's the biggest touring stadiums around the world. Yeah. Anytime she does something, somebody could attack her with what they do, and it's just unfair. You know, you take this little metal band that thinks they're the best band in the world and that Taylor Swift sucks. I bet you she works 100 times harder than you do. She's out there touring around the world. She's putting on these crazy shows that everybody, I mean, I've never been to one of her shows, but I respect her as an artist. I think she writes her own music. If you can make it as a stadium act touring around the world, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
But that being said, if you want to have that level of success, you've got to have the thick skin, because there's going to be people that they root for the underdog and they want to tear down the guy on top.
Sure.
And I've been lucky enough to be on both sides of the fence, you know, where Creed was selling lots of records and getting that heat. When I started Alter Bridge, like in Europe, nobody knew who the hell Creed was mostly. And Alter Bridge took off over there, and we were always kind of critical darlings over there. And I got to see what it was like to get critical support, but not have a lot of record sales. And I got to see how you could have critical hatred and tons of record sales.
Yeah.
Like, which is better? I don't know, but I got to live both of them.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, people can be cruel, but it's part of the world. You got to deal with it.
Yeah. I did not know that about Europe with those two bands.
Yeah. Creed, we went over there on a couple tours and they got canceled. We never went back. And Alter Bridge, it was good for Alter Bridge. We went over there. We were a brand new band. We were just a group of guys nobody had heard of. And you kind of saw in the States, it was moving real slow. And in Europe, it took right off over there for Alter Bridge. So it's what's kept me. That's why I'm sitting here still today, because that's kept my career going for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Okay. So you have two bands where a lot of the same members, different singer.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's certain parts of it that are going to be similar because you as principal songwriter and the cats that you're playing with. But I also assume that it gave you a different artistic outlet in some way. So can you talk to me about what is it that Creed gives you artistically that's different than Alter Bridge, and that's also different from your solo project?
Yeah, well, starting with I think the most fun of all my projects right now is the Sinatra thing. That's my that's my dream.
We'll get there, because I just listened to that record and it's very interesting. That's like the curveball of the century for me. But I tell all my bands that's probably my favorite thing to do. But with Tremonti, with my solo band Tremonti, I get to go back to my childhood years and play all the speed metal and stuff that
I look at Brian and Scott from Creed and Alter Bridge, and I'll play these riffs, and they'll just kind of laugh at me. They're like, "Dude, what are you playing?" So I'm like, all right, screw you. I'm going to start my own band and do this and get my metal out. But that was in the first few records. Now when I do the Tremonti thing, I don't necessarily just push the metal thing. I'm just trying to write the best song I can write. Yeah. And I love singing. I feel, funny thing is, me and Miles are opposites. Miles loves playing guitar solos and he loves singing as well, but he feels no pressure when he plays guitar solos. I feel all the pressure in the world playing guitar solos, but no pressure at all singing. Yes. Because people are going to judge me as a guitar player. Nobody's going to judge me as a singer because I'm just, if I can sing decent, he's great for a guitar player, So you'll catch me at every karaoke bar in town because I could give a shit what anybody thinks about my singing because I like singing. Yeah. So in the Tremonti band, I get to sing, which I love doing. In Alter Bridge, I'm working, in Creed, I write all the music, like I said, and I work on the melodies, and Stapp writes most of the lyrics and writes melodies, great melodies as well. And, but in Alter Bridge, me and Miles do the same thing. We'll write complete parts and put them together. So Alter Bridge is kind of like two guys in a band coming together and putting half of their songs on a record. Then Brian and Scott on the rhythm section, they really make it Alter Bridge. They come in and they take our ideas and they blossom from there. Yeah. But like I said, in Creed, when I wrote those original songs with Scott, we were just kids, college kids. We were just learning our ways. Mm-hmm. And we always wanted to write the most the most triumphant thing or the most angry or sad thing. Yeah. And still, I love those two vibes. Now, like I said, I like getting more into the stony kind of thing, but epic. Nothing in the middle. Everything in the middle is boring to me.
Well, the opposite of boring is knowing your guitar work and then hearing your Sinatra record. Because Jason here, the producer, the other producer of the podcast with Premier Guitar, he was like, dude, a long time ago, he's like, yo, you got to check this Tremonti thing happening. Like, dude, he's singing. I was like, oh, what's he? It's like it's not like the solo records, not like the metal stuff. Check this out. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a big band record. What inspired you to do this? Tell me a little bit about the Sinatra project.
Yeah, so it's one of my proudest projects. It's I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I was at a Christmas party and they had a karaoke stage set up. I think I was singing White Christmas or some Bing Crosby's White Christmas, and I sang some Sinatra, Jingle Bells. I'm like, you know what? This feels good. This feels like my voice. I'm not pushing. I'm not pulling. Yeah. This feels like if I lived back in the 40s and 50s, I'd be singing this stuff. So I remember reading some Frank Sinatra biographies and watching some documentaries and just being pulled into how interesting his life was. And then I ran into a song called "The Song Is You." Mm-hmm. It's if you get on YouTube and type in "The Song Is You," I think it was recorded in, I think maybe 1943 or 44, black and white video. And you have this almost shy kid step on stage at this auditorium with this like Navy band. And when he's talking, he just seems like this shy guy. And as soon as he starts singing, you're like, shit, there's Sinatra. Yeah. And he just steals, he's just magic. And just as a guitar player, just like you hear somebody growing up and you're like, I want to play just like that. And you spend all your time practicing. And I just became obsessed. So "The Song Is You" is really the song that made me say, I want to sing like this gentleman. And I went down the rabbit hole, was singing and singing and singing. And then during COVID, my wife was pregnant, and our daughter was diagnosed with Down syndrome. That's why you see all my Down syndrome stuff behind me. Mm-hmm. And that's my daughter right there. But anyways, she was diagnosed with Down syndrome, and I was like, the bulb went off. I'm like, you know what? Maybe there was a reason for my obsession with Frank Sinatra and singing like this. He was a philanthropist who raised over $1 billion for charity. I'm going to do a record. I'm going to sing Frank Sinatra songs, and I'm going to raise money and partner up with the biggest Down syndrome community I can find. So I called my manager. I said, hey, let's call some local musicians and record a record and do it for charity. And he said, why local guys? He said, my guitar teacher growing up, Stan McIntyre, he toured with Frank Sinatra. Like, are you kidding me? So he set up a lunch with Dan and Mike Smith, who was Frank Sinatra's band leader, the alto sax player. Yeah. And Sat them down, told them the plan, and they're like, "Can your boy sing?" And my manager had never heard me sing anything but rock. He's like, "Of course he can sing. Of course he can." So the next issue was, they're like, "All right, you have to get the Sinatra family approval," and that's almost impossible. You know, they only do things for like Michael Bublé and Tony Bennett.
Sure.
You know, it's not, you know, you don't, to get the Frank Sinatra name on there. So we told him the whole story, begged and pleaded, said, "We're going to record 2 songs. We'll let you hear it." He loved the songs. He said, "The band loves you. This is great. I need you to do original versions of a lot of these songs, because we can't support you playing Sinatra's version of these songs. We have to have you doing your original thing." Sure. So I took My Way and put you know, my Dan McIntyre played it on a nylon string guitar. We made it more of a ballad.
Yeah.
We took I Fall in Love Too Easily and added a rhythm section to it. We did all kinds of things to about half the record. The other half, like Luck Be a Lady and Fly Me to the Moon, those are like the typical arrangements.
Yeah.
And when I sang Luck Be a Lady, Mike Smith hands me Frank's chart. And it said, if you look at all the charts, you have every position has like, you know, trumpet 1, you know, sax 1, whatnot. Mine said vocal chart Frank Sinatra. I thought everybody said that until I looked at everybody else's charts. I'm like, I'm the only one that has Frank Sinatra on here. So it was actually Frank Sinatra's chart that he used when he tracked that song.
Wow.
Which blew me away. And then he handed me the tea. He's like, "This is exactly what the old man would," he always called him the old man. The old man would drink before he sang, and he mixed up this tea. And I still have the packet. And when my voice was getting a little hairy in the studio, he's like, "Hey, I don't know if you want to do this or not, but when the old man would ever have trouble singing, he'd smoke a cigarette." Like, I'm an ex-smoker. I'm not going to smoke. I don't think that was a good choice for him or me, so I'm not going to do that.
Wow. Well, that explains why all of it sounds so legit, man. That's incredible. And
his guys, man, 17 guys in that studio that played with Frank Sinatra on that record.
That's amazing. And I mean, obviously, so incredible and so beautiful that you found a way to have something that you're passionate about and really help out a community, and obviously something that is very close to you and that you're passionate about. So that is beautiful. That's amazing. There's a lot of people that just be like, yeah, you know, do their thing, or maybe even just find the support of a community. But for you to be able to have the support and also contribute to it is a huge testament to your character and how much you really care about it.
Well, thank you. You know, I started this thing called Take a Chance for Charity that, you know, I'd ask you to participate in. Everybody, anybody with a platform, if you can think of something, because I'm a big fan of yours. I think you're an excellent musician. You've played with some of the baddest ass cats in the universe.
Thank you.
But say something your fan base would never see coming. And it's a get out of jail free card. Say, "I've always wanted to do this, but my fan base might not get it." You do it, and you do it for charity.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a few people do it, and it's been great. You know, I had a friend of mine climb Mount Everest with the Down syndrome flag up there and did it for charity. And it's been a great mission. You know, we got some shows in December.
Cool.
Some shows in Florida and shows in Jersey. All the shows are for charity as well.
I love that. Well, I'm a dad also. You know, obviously being a dad, you learn a lot of things and it gives you a bit of a different perspective. What is one of the things about being a dad that you've learned and has changed your perspective on your artistry?
I always want to make sure that whatever I do, my kids would not be embarrassed to dad about doing. You know, I try to present myself in a way where I don't want to be the guy in the news who got arrested for this or that. Yeah. You know, I always keep that in mind. I don't want to embarrass my children in any way and make them proud, you know, in any way I can. Yeah.
I love that. Well, let's get back to some guitar stuff. You have a long running relationship with PRS, and I know you have the new MT100 head, which looks really dope. I saw the YouTube demo and all the promo material for it. Can you talk to me about some of the projects you've done with PRS? Why PRS for you, and what are you stoked about as far as those products?
Yeah, so when I was working at guitar shops in college, you know, I worked at Chili's as a cook, and then for about 2 or 3 months, I got hired at the local guitar shop just because I had a song on radio. And I think I begged for years to work there, and I never got the job. But finally, I got a job there. And I remember the PRSs on the top shelf.
Yeah.
We weren't even, as employees, allowed to bring them down because they were so, they were the most expensive guitars in the shop. So I always had this thing. I wanted a PRS so bad that when I had all my gear stolen, we were in Boston, and we were just dumb. We would put all the radio stickers on our trailer, so somebody saw us a mile away, stole our trailer, stole all my guitars. So we got an insurance settlement. I think I had like $8,000 or something that I had to spend. So I went to the local guitar shop, bought a PRS. I was so excited about it, but when I got it on stage, all the knobs were in the wrong spot. I could sit down and play it at home and love it, but when it came to being in the moment, I needed that toggle switch up here like a Les Paul had, and I need the tone switches. I needed everything to feel the same way.
Yeah.
And it felt very different. So I went back to just playing Les Pauls. And then a few years later, I got a call from Jeff Lanahan from PRS. He's like, hey, we'd like to send you a guitar. So they sent me a McCarty, which I love. One of my favorite guitars is probably sitting 5 feet from me right now. Yeah. I've written so much stuff on that guitar, but I would never play it live because the layout's different. The tone is different. It's way rounder than my other things. It's a great blues guitar. It's a great Paul Reed Smith style guitar.
Yeah.
But I said, it doesn't really work out for me. So he sent me another one. Like, all right, now we're going to put a Dragon 2 pickup in here, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And I tried it. I'm like, yeah, it's just still not my thing, even though I love these guitars and I appreciate it. So after sending back 3 or 4 guitars, like, why don't we just design a guitar for you and make it a signature model? And I was, are you kidding me? Yeah. I mean, at that time, it was Carlos Santana was the only guy at PRS.
Yeah.
So I was the second signature artist. And it was funny how Paul is the same guy he was then as he is now. He's a big kid. He's like a 15-year-old genius.
Oh, I know.
And
great.
He gets so excited. Yeah. He gets excited about everything. And he sends me the first body of this guitar, and it looks silly. It's like a big blue whale. It's got a big head on it and a tiny little single cutaway on it, because he wants to be really conscious of not doing a Les Paul. Yeah. But it's a single cut. It's like a car without how many different ways can you do a single cut? Every other company was doing something that looked very similar. So we just made the contour different. Eventually we got the body shape dialed in. The neck at first was just the traditional PRS neck that he used on almost everything. Mm-hmm. But I begged and pleaded to get my neck the way I wanted it.
Yeah.
And then once they're like, all right, we'll make yours that way, but we'll sell the other ones in shops. And then I'd have other artists play mine. They're like, I like yours way more. So finally they made the neck like mine. As the years went by, we would change. First it was just black, and then we had platinum, then we had gold top, and then we started incorporating all the charcoal bursts and all the different colors. Now you can pretty much get it any color you want. And the only real changes that have happened other than that are like the tuners get better every year.
Sure.
They just get, and the pickups look a little cooler and sleeker, but the guts of it all are the same.
Yeah.
Beautiful guitars, love them. When I first came out with the guitar, it had a bar on it, but now I like a stop tail. I like to be able to tune up and down without having to tune a million times because we got a floating bridge on it. So now you can get the guitar in both styles. You can get it in, we changed things so much. I can't even remember what's going on right now, but I think there's 3 different levels of guitars you can get. Sure. You can get up to the straight SC, which is the most affordable guitar. And then I think there's the step in between that and the American-made version. Yeah. But even the SC, when we came out with the first SC, Guitar World, I think, came out and said, this is the best value for a guitar ever. And it was incredible, that guitar. Super cheap. I think the thing was like $700, and it played so good. Yeah. But they've changed it since then. That was still my favorite SC, but the body's different now. Now the bodies look like the American-made version. Sure. But the whole time, I'm a big guitar fan, but I'm a bigger amp fan. Like amps are my jam. I have an amp room over here with all my amps. It's I think I have way more amps than I have guitars. What's that?
You keep them mic'd up all the time?
I don't. I take them out. I have them in racks, and I'll pull them out and I'll put them out like I've got like these. So I'm setting up for the tour. So I've got these just kind of set out right now. So for the tour I'm going on, I want to make sure that my live rig is set up in my room, and then I'll take it out. So on this tour, I'll be using an MT100, obviously. And these guys were nice enough to send me, I don't know if you heard of the Synergy amp stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody's been talking so highly about them. My tech reached out to them and they sent me a bunch of the modules, and man, they sound incredible mixed with the MT100. It sounds like, it's almost like a mixture between when you have a band that has like a Kemper and then a tube amp at the same time, you get the super tightness and the perfection of the Kemper, but then you have the warm analog sound of the thing. So I think that's kind of what I get out of the Synergy mixed with the MT100. You have the perfect tightness out of the Synergy, and then you have the big, warm, rich, big, bold sound of the MT100. So I'll be using that on my tour. And then these cabinets, I worked on trying to find the perfect cabinet for the MT100, but we just never got to the finish line with it.
Sure.
What I had put together was Mojo Tone makes great cabinets, and we used their birch cabinets with English Vintage 30s, and then Eminent CV75s in an X pattern.
Yeah.
Because at my home studio, I found that these two cabinets on either side of my desk sounded so good together. Why did they sound so good together? And how could you put that in one cabinet? And that's what I did. I just took two speakers out of one, two out of the other, X pattern it. My favorite cabinet in the world now.
Cool.
So it'll be the first time on tour I've used it this tour.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm a fanatic when it comes to amplifiers. It's
you still have your Dumble?
You know, I have 4 Dumbles. I have 2 Overdrive Specials, an Overdrive Deluxe, and I've got a 1959 Deluxe modded by Dumble.
Cool. How many?
And
how many watts on those?
100 watts are the Overdrive Specials and the Overdrive Deluxe.
Yeah, cool.
But and I don't necessarily buy those amps to actually ever use them on tour, and they don't get used. The Overdrive Deluxe got used in the studio this time, but I buy those amps to make me play different. You know, it's like it forces you to play differently than I would on the MT100 for sure.
Yeah, totally.
You know? And I want to be that kind of player. I want to be that guy that can just pick up and improvise and play with Larry Carlton. I can't, you know. But I think if I buy an amp like that, I'm like, all right, that will force you to try to play like that.
Sure. I love that. That's why I have so many guitars behind me.
I know you got a collection. Yes.
Like, this one is just going to draw something different out of me than the Strat, you know? So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I did notice you're also doing something really cool on this tour where you're doing guitar clinics on the road. Can you talk to folks? Because I'm sure people listening here are interested in it as well. Can you talk to me logistically how that's working and what you're doing for that? Because I read the website. It looks cool.
Yeah, I love doing it. I've been doing it for years, but then COVID happened and we had to stop. So I haven't been able to do a guitar clinic in 3 years or so. But what I'll do is about 2:00, I think we start. We have sound check at 4. We schedule it for an hour, but I always go way over the hour. They're always making me stop before sound check. So sometimes I go over 2 hours. But when I first started doing clinics, I was doing all lead stuff. I would take solos from the bands or whatnot, and I'd play them and ask and show like the key techniques or whatnot in those solos. And people would ask questions. A lot of times I would sit down, I'd improvise for the first, I try to be truthful with what I do behind closed doors with folks. So, and it's also good. You get 20 people in a room, guitar players, and you improvise. You're putting yourself on the spot, which I think is great. Yeah. And I always tell people, I'm like, one of the first things I do every time I pick up a guitar is improvise 2 songs. And I don't play to impress anything. I'm playing like almost like grandma's in the room, and I want to play something nice and sweet and have good vibrato and have good phrasing. I want to be doing sweep arpeggios the whole time. I'm just warming up. So I'll start a clinic like that. I'll go into some of my favorite techniques. And then my manager actually talked me into showing people how I write songs. And that really is what's the most exciting part for people, I think. So that's what takes me forever to explain. So I'll get into alternate tunings. I'll get into a few different techniques you can use to explore alternate tunings. Like I'll sit down and I'll say, hey, take this right hand finger picking style and just watch TV for a week until you get it.
Yeah.
And once you get it, learn something, take a tuning like open D5. I'll always show everybody open D5. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I'll also show open G and open G minor, open E. And I'll say, take that finger style technique and let your left hand do whatever you want it to do. Sometimes I say, try to create the most odd sounding chord you've ever played on the guitar. Try to finger what you think would sound just crazy. And then take this technique and play through it. And you might be surprised. You might come up with something. Keep doing that with your left hand. Just experiment as much as you can with that left hand. Experiment with open strings. Experiment with chord voicings that you're used to even. Mm-hmm. And they're going to sound way different in this tuning. And use this pattern the whole time. And I guarantee you within 5-10 minutes, you're going to stumble upon something that's beautiful or sad or whatnot. And I can't tell you how many times in these clinics I've had to tell everybody, hold on, stop, grab out my computer, and I'll have to record these ideas, and I'll sing. And I always tell people, we're in the trust tree. I'm going to sing in my falsetto because that's how I write melodies. Because sometimes I won't be able to hit notes, and I want to limit myself with my melodies to my natural voice. So I'll sit and sing with my falsetto. And I actually have a recording on my laptop of me writing the title track of my last solo record in a clinic while people were sitting there. I'm like, okay, now I got to write the melody. I wrote it there with everybody in the room.
Wow.
So it's that's the toughest part about doing a clinic is letting your guard down.
Yeah.
Telling everybody we're in the trust tree. This is actually how I do it. I might suck 9 out of 10 times, but that 1 out of 10 times is where it happens.
Yeah.
So
I love that, man. That's so cool. And that's such a great idea. I love that. Because it's, a lot of bands will do a meet and greet or some sort of VIP experience that feels like, all right, we're trying to pay for the bus, or, we're trying to cover the cost of the hotel rooms, whatever. Which is fine. That's totally fine, especially in today's music business. But I can tell that this is something that you're really passionate about. I can tell that it's something that breathes life into what you do as an artist. And that to me, that motivator on its own just feels really cool. Because I can tell even just from this conversation that you're somebody who likes to give back and you're just stoked about what you're doing. And I love that.
Absolutely. And it's, there's been a few times when I've gotten invited to do like Joe Satriani's clinic or Andy Wood's clinic. And I'm friendly with Andy. I'm like, dude, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to, my kryptonite is having to improvise in between Eric Johnson and Guthrie Govan. I'm not doing it. Like, that's not the type of guitar player I am. But if I'm in my own environment at my own pace, I love it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, to close off, I have a question that I ask a lot of my guests, and it's a gear question because guitar players love talking about gear.
Oh yeah.
There's advice that people are looking for. Let's say there's a piece of guitar gear that every guitar player needs. There's only three types of gear. One, what does every guitar player need that's around $20 or less? What's a piece of gear that everybody needs that's a couple $100 or less? And what's a piece of gear that everybody needs? Price is no factor.
I think $20 or less, everybody needs a Snark tuner.
Yeah.
Love my Snark tuners. $200, maybe $250. I'd say the, do I have one right here? The Microcube, the Roland Microcube.
Ah, yeah.
I mean, back in the day, every band would have those in the dressing rooms. I think it's one of the best sounding little amps that you can carry to your hotel room.
Yeah.
They've come out recently with another little small amp that everybody loves, called the Spark.
Okay.
So if you're more of a technical guy that wants to have all these digital different modeled amps, the Spark's awesome. I like the Microcube because it just sounds so great. You could put a mic on that thing on stage; it would sound great.
Yeah.
Price is no object. I would say, and you'd have a lot of people hating on it, but I'd say a Dumble amplifier is the most beautiful thing, the most inspiring thing. If you get the right one, it is just the most inspiring thing in the universe. And you get a lot, just because they're so expensive, people are like, oh, those things are so overrated. They're not overrated if you get the right one. Are they worth as much as they're going for? No. But is it the most inspiring piece of gear I've ever plugged into? Yes.
I love that. That's the answer we all want, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember a guy came, I had put an amp on reverb, and it was a Dumble clone. It was an expensive one. I won't name the name of it because I'm friendly with the person who built it. But I sold it, and the guy's like, yeah, my wife's asking me, it's an expensive amp, and is it as good as a Dumble? I'm like, no. Even though I'm trying to sell it to you, it's not as good as a Dumble. And I'm like, tell you what, if you want to come over to my place and check out all the Dumble clones and the Dumbles themselves, I'll let you hear for yourself. And he was a fireman who drove from Houston.
Oh, wow.
All the way to my place. So I plugged them into all my Dumble clones. I did the Bluto Tone and the Van Wieldens and the Brunos and Amplified Nations. And he's like, wow, this is great. This is even better. This is awesome. When I plugged him into one of my favorite Dumbles, he's like, I get it. It's perfection. It's what these amps are all going for. The clean tones on a Dumble are the best clean tones I've ever heard in my life. When you turn that preamp gain all the way up on a Dumble on the clean channel, that is one of the most classy sounding things in the world. And it's not something I'd ever be known for, is that Dumble style of playing. Sure. But like I said, when I plug into it, I want to play like Larry Carlton. I want to play like Robin Ford,
Okay, well then here's a follow-up for me, just my own question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you played any models that inspire you even remotely?
Like digital modeling amps?
Any of the Neural DSP stuff, Kemper, Line 6, Fractal, any of those?
Yeah, I have an Axe FX 2 that I thought was great, especially for writing. I would just sit here and I would just turn the knob to the preset and find some new wacky sound that would make me write something different. I actually toured for maybe 3 weeks with a Fractal because I was the last guy that I know that didn't use in-ears. I couldn't stand them, and finally I got convinced to use them. Miles was always, Miles would move to the other side of the stage because he didn't like the sound of the cymbals and my amps and all that stuff. So it always irritated him to have a loud backline. So finally I gave in, and everybody's like, when you do your solo stuff and you're singing, the in-ears are so good. So finally I went into in-ears and I was like, all right, I'll try the digital stuff because I'm not really hearing the real sound of my amps in these in-ears. And I did it for a while, and I loved it for rhythm stuff, but I hated it for lead stuff. And I even had producers of mine go, hey, dude, I've got the best 10 different lead settings ever on the Fractal. And they'd send them my way, and I'm still like, there's something about it. There's no heart and soul to it. There's something weird about it to me.
Sure.
So I went back to using tube amps. But that being said, I think an amp sounds better if there's two guitar. A band sounds best when there's one guitar player playing a tube amp and one guitar playing a Fractal. When that together combines, to me, it sounds super tight and super rich, and all mixed together sounds excellent.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I think if it's all Kempers, if you know what you're looking for, I just hear some, and they're getting better and better and better.
Sure.
I think Kempers are incredible pieces of gear. But there's just something about a tube amplifier that has a richness you can't yet replicate.
Yeah. Seems to be the common thing, with people who have played through a lot of tube amps.
Yeah.
When you've experienced and have felt that sound. But you're right.
For my whole career too. Yeah.
You're right that they are getting so good now. There's some that are just insane.
Maybe one day I'll change my mind,
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
It would be a lot easier on your back, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us, man. It's an absolute treat to have you on the podcast. I appreciate everything that you do, and it's so great to hear about all the things you got going on, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Hopefully we can meet in person.
Let's do it. We'll jam. I want to play through all your amps, too. I'll drive from Minneapolis.
Come on down. I'm here. You know where to find me.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
There you have it. Mark Tremonti. What a nice dude. Cool cat. That's what I'm saying, man. This guy's got writing credits. I'm telling you that right now. I mean, we all know him as an amazing guitar player, but think about the writing. Think about all that. That's so... it's its own skill set, and he's got them both. So thank you, Mark, for being on the podcast. I am very stoked about this episode. And hey, again, like I said at the beginning, if this is your first time here, welcome. Go back and check out some of the other episodes because we've got a lot of great guests that I've interviewed. So thank you for being here. We'll see you next time. Peace.